Have you been a good girl?
I've been bad. I've been very bad.
Wow, are you stupid? I'm gonna reach down and rip off his puny little face. So don't make me tell the truth about you, because it will be the whole truth. You elitist Harvard fascist missed the dean's list 2 semesters in a row, Yankee jackass.
Feel better getting that off your chest there, CJ?
I'm a whole new woman.
What I love about her is that she's so incredibly smart and quick. She's a problem solver, she's a diplomat, she's a best friend, she's a woman, she's funny, she's sexy. She gets to be all these great things.
The character, CJ Cregg, has an extraordinary ability to convey a vulnerability at the same time she conveys tremendous strength.
She's an overachiever, a workaholic, a very strong lady, and she loves Bartlett.
She was a perfect reflection of the man and his administration, which was one of intelligence and compassion and commitment.
This character is very strong, very accomplished, and very feminine. And sometimes people tend to split those things up, and they shouldn't be.
Probably any actress that had any half their presence of mind thought, oh boy, I wish I could have gotten that job, that C.J. Cregg job.
The position of White House Chief of Staff will be filled by Claudia Jean Cregg.
The reason I got this part was Aaron saw me in Primary Colors. He always told me that when he saw me in that, that's when I came on his radar. And I did a pratfall down the stairs. And so Aaron Sorkin had written for me to do a pratfall in the pilot. And then I fell into the pool in the episode where Toby invites me to come work for Bartlett.
What the hell are you?
I don't think that was the sexiest, you know, coming out of a pool scene ever filmed. But Toby and CJ have a very special relationship.
You want to make out with me right now, don't you?
Well, when don't I? There's a deep trust that we have for each other, and a deep affection and an attraction, and we're each other's lifesaver.
They knew each other way before the Bartlett administration, and Toby brings CJ in to work for Bartlett.
How much does it pay?
How much were you making before?
$550,000 a year.
This pays $600 a week.
So this is less.
Yes.
And she takes the job because it's what she's been looking for, something important to do with her life.
You're looking at democracy at work. It's a beautiful thing.
The press secretary job is a huge and thoroughly unpleasant job, something I'd never, ever want to do.
I've already no claims. Hey! Is this working for you? Now, if you'll ask your questions one at a time, like, oh, I don't know, every other time we've done this for the last 5 years, maybe you'll come away from this with something to write, and maybe I'll still be speaking to one or two of you when I climb down from here.
I realize it's an extremely difficult job that Allison Janney wouldn't be caught dead doing.
In the meantime, I say pizza for everybody. Who's with me? Excellent.
The most interesting thing about it is that you actually need to be a little underinformed as the press secretary. In your relationship with the press, you have to be genuine about what you do and don't know. And there are oftentimes cases in the real White House where the press secretary is uninvited to meetings because they don't want them to be compromised by having too much information.
To what extent do you think that's going to weigh in on the president's decision?
I'm aware of no such declaration.
You could count on her to give you a square answer. If she didn't know something, she wouldn't spin it. If she knew something and was unable to share it, she made it clear that that was the case.
CJ!
Danny!
Is there a rescue mission underway?
Obviously, there are a number of scenarios being contemplated, but I wouldn't want to speculate.
She was obviously providing the information to the public in our show. She would get up in the press briefing room and talk to the reporters and give them the exposition. Allison can get up to that podium, and she can deliver that information. And under it, you can feel something else happening.
It's not enough to just simply have the lines memorized. It's much closer to doing Shakespeare, you know, a sense that you really have to understand what the subtext is, what they're trying to say.
Good afternoon. A U.S. Air Force F-117A Nighthawk stealth fighter attack aircraft flying a routine patrol out of Al Jaber Air Force Base in Kuwait was shot down over the southern no-fly zone in Iraq. All the language and the words, I rather like it because I, Allison Janney, don't have that kind of vocabulary and that skill to be that verbal. So I love playing characters who
say big chunks of really important, cool stuff, and I just get to spit it out, and everyone's like, wow, she is smart.
Where Allison ends and CJ begins is in the political world, because Allison is not a very political person and didn't know a lot about politics, but is such a talent that she can sure make you think she knows all about it.
Apartheid was an East Hampton clam bake compared to what we laughingly refer to as the life these women lead. And if we had sold M1A1s to South Africa 15 years ago, you'd have set the building on fire. Thank God we never needed to refuel in Johannesburg.
I think what makes C.J. Cregg perfect is Allison Janney. I mean, she is just sort of extraordinary.
I call her the very nearly perfect Allison Janney, because I think nothing in nature is totally perfect, so if you're nearly perfect, you have it all.
I've got to be sure, word for word sure, about what all three of you said and what you didn't say. I can control this story, Leo. I can get us through this, but only if you tell me everything I need to know.
You got it.
We got to get our story straight on this today.
She is sort of incapable of having a phony, fake moment. I mean, speaking for myself, until I feel like I get it, I'm like a bad actor doing a guest shot on the Love Boat. And then it'll kind of come together, and then it'll be sort of presentable. And Allison doesn't have that process. She just is sort of incapable of seeming phony, which is obnoxious.
Do me a favor, because I'd like to see you live past the age of 12. Stay off junk for the rest of the week. See if you can survive on, you know, food, and I'll cook you dinner this weekend.
Wearing an apron and one of those floppy hats?
Wearing anything you like.
She has a softness and a strength that she can call on at any time. I remember an episode that I did where Josh Lyman has been on the internet talking to the Lemon Lymans, I think, who are supposed to be his fan club, and Allison, as press secretary, hears about it, and she's furious.
I'm assigning an intern from the press office to that website. They're going to check it every night before they go home. If they discover you've been there, I'm going to shove a motherboard so far up your ass. What?
Well, technically, I outrank you.
So far up your ass. Okay. Okay?
She bullies really well. I mean, that's one of the things that Allison does really well as CJ.
You're a rabble-rouser, you know that? You rouse rabbles.
Hey.
There haven't been many relationships on the West Wing, and given the givens, CJ has actually done pretty well.
She's got too many boyfriends, in my opinion.
Danny Kincannon was a real one, and then she did have her fling in her hometown with Matthew Modine, and then Mark Harmon came along. Unfortunately, we killed him. That always hurts. But, you know, with CJ, she can't win for losing.
Hey, CJ.
Hey, Nimrod.
Look, I leaked your damn story for you.
You leaked it for me, I leaked it to you, pal. I use you like so much whatever.
Well put. There was a great episode where I want to know what I can do to get CJ. And she likes goldfish. So I go and I get her Gail the goldfish. Josh said you like goldfish.
I had so much fun doing that because I got to laugh so genuinely out. You know, it was a great scene between the two of us. One of my favorites.
The crackers, Danny. The cheese things that you have at a party.
Allison has such a great laugh. It's so authentic to me. I just love her cracking up. She's funny.
It's all part of the service here at Claudia's House of Useless Knowledge. That's a full lid. Thank you very much.
She's like a stand-up comic on the set, and she sings and dances, and a lot of days coming in there working with her is like rehearsing for a Vegas lounge act.
At a quarter after 5, twist of lime, coke on the side, the brother loved the high life. Had a PhD in street stripe, they called him the Jackal.
Allison could really do the Jackal. We had to actually reshoot it because the first time we did it, Allison did it so well, it was almost out of character. So we redid it in a way that made more sense for CJ, who would be much more awkward with it.
CJ was never trying to be funny. She was scared or sensitive or something about her that was human made her funny.
I had root canal! What are you, like 4'10"?
Me? I'm 4'11".
I can't believe we're the same species. Come on, down.
CJ's not wearing any pants. No pants whatsoever.
It's cable.
Be careful.
Be very careful. Try very, very hard not to destroy us.
You shouldn't say that, CJ. You got a great body.
You always have this sort of innate respect for her, no matter how goofy or how intense she can get.
We need to go back to Washington.
These people need me.
No, sir, they don't. They need their town back.
They need their police officers working, not clearing intersections for your motorcade. They need the 50 motel rooms we took last night for people who lost their homes.
If you got personal with her, you had to protect yourself, because you're going to learn something about yourself, and the image that you projected that was not well liked.
Bartlett wanting to really reach out and help people, and having CJ be the one to tell him that really sort of grounded her character in a way that we hadn't before.
You're the President of the United States. My president. I need you back. I need you to lead.
CJ's relationship with Bartlett, I've always thought of like a father-daughter relationship. She has enormous love for him and for who he is as a man and what he's tried to accomplish in his life, and she would do anything for him, definitely.
There's something I need you to do for me.
What's that?
Jump off a cliff.
You really need somebody that would jump off a cliff for you to be chief of staff. That's sort of the first and foremost job requirement. And CJ had that kind of devotion.
I thought, are you crazy? That's a dumb idea. That's a stupid idea.
There wasn't anyone else more qualified in the administration who understood the president better, who had spent more personal time with him, and who understood his needs.
I'll schedule a call for you and the Prime Minister tomorrow.
CJ, you're chief of staff. You can make the call.
Right. Thank you, sir.
As you see at the beginning of Liftoff, there's this invasion of people taking over her house and her world.
Morning.
No.
Sorry. Agents DeCastro and Shea, they will be...
I do not need a Secret Service detail.
They'll give you a wide berth.
Could we please discuss this?
Suddenly she's boss. She's got a staff of hundreds, and she's the gatekeeper to the president.
I could have used you in the sit room today.
I heard you had it under control.
Didn't feel like it.
Never does.
Leo's always been really hard on CJ. I felt that he was always very hard on her and a bit of a chauvinist a little bit. And it turns out he's really become her mentor and is really invaluable to her as chief of staff.
As President of the United States, this needs to be monitored on a weekly basis. You need to get the president to play chess.
Leo wants to be able to be there for her. On the other hand, you don't want to be too active, because anything that's too active would detract from her position. She has to be the captain of the ship, so to speak.
I don't report to Josh.
No, you report to me, and I, magnanimous leader that I am, shrewd executive and benevolent spreader of the wealth, I have chosen to delegate, and you should get used to that word. You see how beautifully this works?
I think all the guys had a little trouble with me being the big cheese.
Going from all of the people who have been your friends and peers to then being someone who's trying to manage their friends and peers, that's a very, very tricky thing to do.
I just think it's time for me to move on. This is my letter of resignation to the president. Working for one of my closest friends is, I think, not going to bring out my best.
Josh, you can't.
I don't know if I'm comfortable working this closely with a woman. Maybe it's time for me to call it a day.
That was her worst nightmare coming true in front of her eyes. It was basically their way of saying, we're behind you, in a really awful way.
You are bad, bad men.
In the service of a vengeful God.
It became very interesting to see her find her way through a new job, and it enabled us to take this beloved, entertaining character who'd really been a lot of fun in the series and actually move her into some of the more dramatic scenarios that we were doing in the series in terms of Middle East peace and war plans being drawn up. It was a lot of fun to watch her do that, and I think it was certainly fun for Allison to do.
I realized how unbelievably lucky I've been to get to play a part like this. You know, as an actor, you hope for a great part, but to be able to affect people in a positive way and do your job is just an amazing opportunity. It makes me feel especially good for what I do.
What Allison can bring to it is this sense of just how accomplished a woman can be in a position of authority. You know, there has not yet been a female chief of staff in the White House. There will be. There'll be one relatively soon, I suspect.
And then next year or 2 years from now, whenever, we'll have a female president. I feel like the more we get positive female role models out there in positions of power, that maybe it'll soon come out into the real world. And it's been great to influence people.